Alright, Automonger here. So in this video, I want to talk about the pressure lubrication system, which is a system whereby pressure is used to move oil around the engine. But before I go into that, let me just have a brief again of the types of lubrication system that we have in an engine system. We have three major designs, which is the mist lubrication system, the wet lubrication system, and the dry sump lubrication system. This is something that you might have known already, but if you don't know, this is it. So let me try to explain them, just give a brief of them. So for the mist lubrication system, this is a system that is used in smaller engines, maybe like two-stroke engines, like the motorbike and the rest of them. Those kind of system, you don't need a lot of oil to run it. You don't need a lot of moving parts. You don't need a lot of pumps to pump oil and maintain the engine. So you just need a little bit of oil to maintain the engine. And in this case, the oil is being mixed. The oil that is needed is mixed with the fuel in a ratio of about 3 to 6, and is being delivered by the carburetor into the system. Now, because it is being mixed and is moving and is going to move at the pressure, the fuel itself that is in the mixture will vaporize and go and do its job, while the oil in the system is going to now go and lubricate the crankshaft, the cylinder wall, and the rest of all those. So that is where mist lubrication system is used. It is not very popular in bigger engines because it's a little bit not very capable of working for bigger engines. It has some disadvantages and some advantages, which I might make a whole video about it later. But one of the easy advantages is that it is cheaper, and it is cheaper to use it for smaller engines. That's just it. So okay, let me go to the next one, which is the wet sump lubrication system. This is more like the most popular one that we have in the motor engines that we have. Almost all the car you have, a lot of them, you see these wet sump lubrication system. However, it's not just that you see it, because we have different types, which I'm going to come to later. I'm going to explain. We have about 3 types of the wet sump lubrication system. But this system is simply a system whereby you have the oil sump, which is the oil pan. Some people call it oil pan, but it's mainly oil sump at the bottom of the engine. So there's always oil in the system. Oil is moving, lubricating the parts. If the oil lubricates the part, it falls back into the oil sump by gravity, and then it gets moved again from that point to lubricate the parts. So it's an ongoing system. There's always oil in the system. And this system has proven to be very, very effective, because it can be used in different terrain for different occasions in motor cars. Either you're climbing a hill, you are descending from a hill, you are going at a high revolution or low revolution, it doesn't really matter. This system works fantastic, because I'm going to explain the other the 3 types of the wet sump so that you understand how they also work. So that is it about the wet sump. Whereby we have the dry sump. I've said something about this before, but I'll say it again. So the dry sump is actually just a system whereby the oil is not in the system itself, like the wet sump. So it's not like you have a oil sump at the bottom of the engine that there is always oil in the system. No, the oil is being introduced from an external source. We have an external tank for the oil, so the oil stays in that tank, and a pump is being used to pump the oil from that external tank into the engine to where it is required. And immediately the oil is being pumped into the system, and it goes through all the parts it needs to go through. It falls down to like the collecting pan. Immediately it is dropping, it is being drawn back. There's another system, there's a scavenge pump at the tail end, at the bottom of the system. Once the oil is dropping, the scavenge pump will suck it out and send it back to the tank. So the oil does not stay in the engine itself. And usually the way it is designed, the scavenge pump is usually bigger than the pump that pumps the oil into the system. So that ensures that there's no oil remaining at any point in time. This is actually a beautiful design for racing cars and some other kind of designs, but it's not very useful when designing normal car that you use on a regular basis, on a regular day. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about now, like I said before, I will explain the wet sump system. Like I said, we have 3 types, 3 basic designs, which is the splash system, the splash and pressure system, and the pressure fit system. Now, for the splash system, is more like a very standard one, which is used for light duty engines, whereby there is a dipstick or a dipper. It's usually at the bottom of the crankshaft, at the bottom of the connecting rod. So whenever there's a rotation of the crankshaft, whenever the engine rotates, it moves and scoops the oil and then splashes it on the wall of the cylinder, splashes it to every other part that is requiring oil in the system. So this system is effective, but it is effective for lighter engine, not for heavy duty engine, because it has its own limitation, because it's not able to give oil at a very high capacity with the way it is required in case if you are running at a very high revolution. So it has its own disadvantages. So however, there's another system that tends to complement that. Okay, let me give you a picture of that first. Let me go. This is an example of the splash lubrication system. So you can see for this splash lubrication system now, let me get a pen. So for this splash lubrication system, you see that this is the oil sump. Now this place, okay, let me clean this. I think I'm having a lot of lines at the same time. So this is the oil strainer, this is the oil pump. Now the way it's designed, of course you would have known how it is already. The oil sump has the oil pump and the strainer. So the strainer is meant to filter out little particles, little debts that's in the oil before it gets to the pump, and then the pump now pumps it up into the engine, which is a fantastic system. However, for this one, the way it works, you see this point now, you see small oil troughs here. This one for this, you see for this, and you see for this. So the oil is being collected. The oil is pumped from the oil pump here. It's pumped into the strainers, and then from this, it's pumped into the straw. So from this straw, the connecting rod, whenever there's a revolution, you see this point here, this thing here. Yeah. So this point here will be the point that will pick it up. It will pick it up and then it will splash it. Then that's the splashing of the dipstick. It will pick it up and it splash the oil on the other part. You can see the small points you have here. These are showing the spray of the oil on the system. So whenever there's a revolution, the oil is being picked and it's being splashed. So that is why it is called a splash system. So the oil does not just go there and start work, goes to the point where it is needed. No. Before oil gets to this point, this one has to come down to this point. When it comes down for its revolution, it picks the oil, and then the splasher at the bottom of the connecting rod picks the oil and then splashes on the system. So the same thing happens for this, the same thing happens for this, and the same thing happens for this. So it's a continuous process. So the oil pump, the job of the oil pump is to make sure that there's always oil in this system. As long as oil remains here, the system continues to be effective. And what you have here is the oil pressure gauge. This is helped to check the pressure of the system. In case when there's a build-up pressure, it can release it. So this system is also effective, but not as effective as other systems. It works perfectly also, but the main one that has come to stay, which is the one I'm going to talk about later, is the pressure fit system. So let me talk about the second one. So for the second one, we have a mix. So just in case this one is not very effective, you can have a mix of it. So we have for this one now, we have the, oh shit, sorry for that. So we have the splash and the pressure system. So this is a combination of the splash and the pressure system. So this system is also very effective also. I'll show you how it works. So there's a diagram I have here. So for this diagram now, you see that, let me explain it properly so that you understand. Of course, I've explained this part already, the oil strainer and then the oil pump, how it works. So, but for this one now, when the oil strainer strains the oil and sends it through the oil pump, and then, the oil pump now will now pump the oil directly. You can see this dot line. This is the direction of flow of oil. It is pumped directly to the camshafts. You see this point, you see this point, you see this point. So this one is very effective. It's more effective than the splash system, because the oil is being pumped directly to where it is needed at the top with pressure. So the oil gets to those points and it lubricates those points. But even though this one is being lubricated, the oil pump is not going to pump it to every point at the same time. So it still makes provision for that system that I talked about before, which is this straw, this little straw. So oil is being sent to this point. So there's still oil here. So whenever this the connecting rod moves through its own cycle, it gets to this point, the splasher is going to pick up the oil and also spray it through, splash it around all the body of this point where it is required. So this is an effective system. So it's a combination of two systems, which is very effective. So this ensures that there's always oil every time. And also the way this one is also designed, the oil that will come to all these points can also come from this point. Remember, this one that picks oil here, this the dipstick that picks oil here splashes the oil. The oil gets to all the points, the tappet and the rest of them. So that still works. So the oil is still supplied to all these points. Meanwhile, for this one here, it's getting the oil directly from the pressure system, which is the oil pump here. So this is effective, and of course the main bearings also get their own oil from the oil pump. Now this is the oil pressure gauge, which is also there to ensure that the pressure is being maintained. In case if there's a very high pressure, the gauge can also help to show you or indicate that there's too much pressure, and there will be a relief valve that will also relieve the pressure. So this is a fantastic system because it combines the two. It makes sure that it is not dependent on one system. So if one system fails, the other one still keep the system running. And the way it is also designed, even though you hear that we have oil filter is not would have made looked for another diagram or made another one whereby you can have the oil filter. So the way the oil filter is designed in this system, there's no oil filter in this picture, but I think maybe I'll try to get another one and show and do another video for that. So the way it is designed, not all the oil that is coming to the system has to go through the filter. So some oil will go through the filter, some will not go through the filter. So it ensures that every point in time, either there is the filter is active or it's clogged, there's always oil in the system, and it is called so that will be that for this. So let me explain the other ones. So this is the main one which I'm trying to explain, which I think some people might have some issues with. So this one is very popular. Let me clean out this one so that it will be easier for you to know where I am now. So this one, the pressure fit system, it is also referred as the pressure lubrication system. So this is very, very, very popular, and this is very, very effective. In fact, it's what you have in most of the cars that you know. A lot of the cars that you know out there, this is what you have there because of the effectiveness of the system. Now this is a design of it, a simple design of it that shows you how it's been or how it works. So let me explain more. So you already know what the oil strainer is and how it works, the oil pump, and of course you can have the filter somewhere here, oil filter somewhere here to filter the oil, but that one is not what I'm explaining now. But let me just continue. So when the oil pump pumps the oil, there's no trough here like the other ones, no little trough for the oil splash. You don't need that in the system. The oil pump controls this. The oil pump is equipped to be able to do the job, the whole job that is required. So it has a very high pressure that pumps the oil directly. You can see the direction of oil movement. The oil moves directly to everywhere, to the camshaft and everywhere that is needed. You can see to the main bearing and all the joiner everywhere. There's little holes that collect the oil. It is designed to pump oil to all these points. And because it is coming directly from the pump, the pressure is high. So because the pressure is high, it can get to all those points and lubricate all the bearing perfectly without any issue. So this system is very, very effective because either you are running at a high speed or a low speed, it doesn't matter. As long as the pump is on, all the system is lubricated, and it ensures that your bearings and all the parts last longer because they are always lubricated. The connecting rod everywhere gets oil, the piston wall everywhere gets the oil. So once the oil finishes doing its job, after going through the point, they all fall back, like the normal system, the gravity, they fall back to the oil sump. From there again, the strainer strains them and removes the particle. If there's any particle, it gets removed and then goes through the pump. And like I explained also before, from the pump, it can go through the filter. And the filter, like I said, the filter does not really filter all the oil in the system. It filters some at a particular point in time. But at the end of the day, all of them may eventually get to go through that filter. So some will go through the filter, some will not go through the filter. So in case of a situation whereby the filter is clogged, the system will still get oil. So that is why some of those designs are like that. So that is the pressure lubrication system. It depends on the pump. The pump does the major job here, which is to ensure that there is a constant pressure, equal pressure, that is pushing oil all through the system at every point in time. So there's nothing like maybe the dipstick is not picking up very well. I'm using the dipstick. I shouldn't use dipstick because it might confuse it. Okay, so there's nothing like the splasher, which is the one that's supposed to be at the tail end of the connecting rod here. There's nothing like that not being able to pick enough oil. No, the pressure from the pump supplies all the oil that you need. And because it's coming from the pump, it's equal pressure at all times. So everything is lubricated at every point in time, and you don't really have an issue. So this is like a very, very perfect system that is being used. It's a very perfect system that is being used in a lot of our engines. In fact, almost a lot of the engines that you know. And of course, like I said before, I've explained about the oil pressure. It's meant to, check the pressure and make sure that the pressure is always normal. When the pressure is over, when you have a lot of pressure in the system that can cause damage to the system, the pressure relief valve is going to open and then release the pressure from the system, and then the system is being normalized again and the engine continues to work. So guys, that is it about the pressure lubrication system. So in case you don't know this is it. So like I said before, a recap, we have different kinds of lubrication system. We have the mist lubrication system, the wet sump lubrication system, and the dry sump. And I went on to explain the wet sump. I said we have three: the splash system, the splash and pressure system, which is a combination, and then the pressure field system. And these are the diagram I've used to explain them. If you don't understand them, you can please just replay this and then get to listen to it again. And if you have any question, just let me know and I'll try to answer them. Thank you.